welcome to yet again another episode of ForFamilies Podcast. It's that podcast that is for us because whether or not you like it, you were born into a family. So all you've known for most of your life is a family, whether it's your biological family, and as you've grown, you've entered another family, your extended family, your spiritual family, your school family, your work family, church family, mosque family. You get the picture. Blended families, step families. When you think about it truly, I believe that families make the world go round. And that's why family is the smallest unit of society. And if we can get it right on the family level, we can get it right on the national and global level. My name is Isabella. I'm excited to be hosting this episode, every episode of ForFamilies Podcast. And today we're talking about something that affects everybody. Now, 30BG fans, you know what Davido said? Owo ni koko, money is the koko. And you've heard phrases like no romance without finance, you need money. And when you think about it, even the Bible says money answereth all things, right? There's a place for money, for wealth within the family. School fees is real. Go and talk to any parent out there. Even if you're not a parent, there's black tax. There are people asking you, please send money for your siblings, send money for mommy in the village or granny in the village. And the issue of money, sadly, sometimes leads to the breakdown of family, where you have families living above their means, trying to keep up with the Joneses. You have families doing anything and everything for money. I mean, you've heard of situations where within a family, they plan a kidnap because of ransom. So you can see that this money issue is a very important topic. And for you to grow your family, to raise a family, at least I can speak for Nigeria, this economy, you need money to feed, to clothe yourself, to pay the rent, to send your kids to school, to even enjoy small. I mean, party will come, be. There are so many needs. I think when I became a parent, when I got married, I realized that, there are many things we need to spend money on. And if you have little children, you know that they are just there to consume. They are unemployed little humans. And where the money is coming, waiting concern them. They need to eat their food. They need to enjoy themselves. They need clothes, shoes. So you can see that I can convince you. In fact, with these few points of mine, I know I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that family finance is something that everybody should be speaking about so that we can make informed decisions, so we can grow wealth as families and we won't suffer for lack of money. That's the best way to put it. So that's what we'll be discussing today. I have with me, I want to say, like, the best person to teach us about family finance, the best person to share real life. This is not aspire to perspire to expire. Why? I mean, she has banking experience. She's in wealth management. So all these investment people that, they'll tell you how to use your money and to grow it, not Ponzi scheme. I mean, she's passionate about sharing her knowledge about finance. But when it comes to family, I know her as a woman who has mentored other women. I know her as a Sunday school teacher, someone who loves children, and I dare say it's beauty and brains because she's looking very sweet today. She's also a fashion entrepreneur. She's rocking one of her pieces. So one of the women behind Desire by Tobes and Wande Silver Atelier. Adire on point, Ashoke on point. So join me in welcoming Tolulokpe Babatunde to ForFamilies Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Thank you for having me here. And I'm looking forward to sharing all my experiences in finance, family finance. Like you said something, money answers all things. So money is a key part to everything we do, basically. I'm sure getting here today or even coming from you spent money, whether physically or electronically. So money is very, very key and important.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
It is. Thank you for honoring our invitation. I feel like ForFamilies Podcast, if you're not subscribing to this channel, you're missing out. So before I get to the end, let me just tell you, you need to subscribe and you need to tell others because we're going to be getting some real gems, actionable points so that you can have money to take care of yourself and your family. So thank you for not charging us or, master class and everything. You're going to be dropping it like it's hot. Subscribe because we give it to you live and direct, hot, hot. We're giving you actionable points to grow your wealth. You're not paying any money. All you are just asking is subscribe, put on notifications, tell a friend to tell a friend, and watch your family wealth grow. That's what I can say, because this episode is going to be packed. So Tolu, I want you to cast your mind back to your childhood and your relationship with money, or your exposure to money. A lot of people growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, for some people, the man was the breadwinner and daddy paid all the bills, and the women maybe did a business on the side, were not primarily seen as breadwinners, but more as caregivers. But fast forward to today, well, we'll get to that. Let's just start with your early relationship with money.
Okay, for me, my early relationship with money started well. Like you said, the norm then was the man provided for the family, and the woman was by the side, maybe a petty trader or indirectly, not fully a housewife, but maybe stay at home and does maybe one or two little business here and there. Or she was a teacher, but not teaching these days has evolved. So the average teacher doesn't just work from 8 to 2 p.m. They do extra classes, they do a lot of things. But then it was just 8 to 2 or 8 to 3, they are back home. Those were all. Some might be nurses to them. So those were more of the professions we were seeing the woman doing. We were not seeing women multitasking, maybe having a 9 to 5 and still having a side hustle or a business at the side. That was the norm then. But part of my exposure to money was, I'll say my grandmother was part of people that shaped me. My grandmother had a business, a thriving business. And even till she was in her almost close to 70s, she was still doing that business. For my grandfather, when he retired too, he also started a business. So seeing the two of them, at that time, they weren't raising any kids again. So it wasn't that the money they were making from the business was dependent on, okay, maybe we taking care of our children and the likes. They had their pension. There wasn't a pension then. I think it was, I don't know whether it was gratuity. There wasn't a pension reform act then, but it wasn't, that business wasn't because they more or less their livelihood, but it was just something they were passionate about. And also growing up then, the way it was then was when the parents have trained their kids, they retire and they wait for those children to take care of them. But looking at it now, the tide has changed. Even the kids you are waiting for to take care of you, the Nigerian economy is not as favorable as it's back then for you to say that you have enough funds to say. I'm not saying people are not taking care of their parents, but the way it was then was the parents would train the child. When they retire, they are fully dependent on their kids to take care of them all through. Now, the kids that you're even dependent on to take care of you, they don't have enough funds to set aside to be able to give you the full complement. Of course, they might help you here and there. So that's what I'll say has actually, that's how I've seen how money, finances have evolved over the years.
You raise a very important point, because sometimes we wonder why our parents are so concerned about the jobs that we do or the careers we pursue. But when there's that goal in mind, like, okay, if this person is a doctor, the person is probably going to make money, have enough to take care of their family and take care of me in old age. And as a result, maybe careers that were not well understood will be frowned upon because there's that expectation that I've done this for you, so you do this for me. And I know that Gen Z and Gen X, they can't really come to terms with that what you are training me so that I'll take care of you. So thanks for sharing that perspective. Now, I would like to move to like today's age, which you've already jumped into. When we look at the traditional roles, we see families where the woman is the breadwinner or earns more. How has that affected like the power dynamics and I would even say positioning within the family?
Okay, the woman earning more, the woman being the breadwinner, the woman like taking the spotlight now. He has his positives, he has his negatives for the family. But one of the positives I'll say it has actually helped with gender equality in the family. Gone are the days where the woman takes the back seat. So for a family that the woman takes the spotlight, the positive sides to it is that there's that gender equality. It's no more a home front where there's competition, where I'm competing with my husband or the husband feels like my wife is competing with me. Thirdly, it sets like a positive values for your children. The fact that your children can look up and say, your son or your daughter can look up and say, the son can look at the and say, okay, my mom is doing this, my mom is doing that. My mom is not just taking a back seat or still sitting down at home. So that kind of son, as he gets older, he appreciates woman. He sees the value of a woman, both in the workplace and in his day-to-day life. He's not someone that would get into the workplace and see a woman as, please, they are not equals to me. They are meant to be in the back seat. He wouldn't mind being a woman taking the spotlight in the workplace, or a woman even being his boss. He'll be able to relate better because he has a mom as an example. For the female child too, she sees her mom taking on challenges and like, oh, the woman is the breadwinner. She's doing this. She's working hard. She's juggling so many things together. She's multitasking. She's taking care of the family. She's building a career there all the time. She's helping herself with her personal development. So she doesn't become a laid back or a lazy child or a lazy female that gets married, or she becomes an adult and she feels that, oh, it's the man that has to take care of everything, or believes that, okay, I'm not doing anything. Let me just wait. A man will definitely come and marry me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he has his positive values. It helps to build there's gender equality in the home. It gives a positive vibe and value for the kids and for the man, and also for the men too. It helps the man to appreciate the female gender better. A man that allows his wife to express herself and takes the spotlight treats a woman better. He doesn't feel a woman. He doesn't see a woman as a competition. He doesn't get threatened. Do you understand? It reduces. We say there's some men that are like narcissists and the likes. A man that allows his woman to shine definitely won't be a narcissist, right? That kind of man won't bully the woman to say, just sit down there. Do you understand? Lastly, also eases the pressure on the man, because we found cases where in a family, because the man is so busy trying to make ends meet, take care of the family, he doesn't take care of his health. And what happens is that maybe at a particular age, the man dies or takes in a terminal illness and everything, because that's what happens most time. And we see the woman living longer than the man. So in this scenario, it creates a balance for the family. The pressure is not so much on the man to make sure that, oh, I'm the breadwinner, I have to fend and take care of the family. It also helps to reduce corruption, because I've seen men being pressured. When a man is really fully under pressure to say, okay, I need to make ends meet, I need to take care of my family, he exposes them more to corruption, to do a lot of dubious things. I'm sorry, not to the male gender. I'm not saying it's only the male gender.
Yes.
But when you have a spouse that is also helping to balance things in the home front, it gives you a more balanced home. Both of you can actually focus more on raising the kids and other things in the family. The pressure is not so much on, oh, I need to make ends meet, I have to walk around the clock and a workaholic and all of that. So
I love
overall,
this.
it's a positive experience when both parties, especially if the woman is earning more, if the woman is earning on the same pedestal with the man, as long as the woman is also bringing something to the table and it's not just dependent on one person.
I love the last point you made. So men out there, for your own health, for the longevity of your life, that's what the science says. That's what the facts point to, that there's even a scientific case for men not to overwork themselves and to be overburdened. Women have a role to play beyond just, say, caregiving. Women can also earn money and split the care responsibilities. Thank you for, convincing people out there that, look, this is something. And when you think about your children, you want the best for your children. So whether it's the man or the woman, at the end of the day, it's for the family. So that's very important. Now, what we have today, if we go to social media, is a lifestyle that is being promoted, that, the men are saying, women, they just want money. That's why they are going into relationships. How much hair can you buy me? Where are you taking me to? But there are also men who are also targeting women, successful women, for money, to uphold a lifestyle. So I want to know your own views when it comes to that whole social media narrative and how it's impacting families where, women don't like money. You just need to give a woman money and everything is okay. And men like money, and men are trying to, social climb. So they won't marry a poorer woman. They want to marry a richer woman that will change their lives.
Okay, well, first of all, social media is already a part of us. So it's something that regardless of your status or your way of life, you need to be part of social media. You need it basically because it's already a part of us. Everything is now. We're in a digital world. We're in a digital age. But one thing I'll say is that social media is curated. It's not. It's not. It doesn't speak to the reality of what's happening. For instance, now we are here on this podcast. We might decide to do this on a particular date, and we might not hear it until 6 months time. And when it's been heard on 6 months time, is it the reality as at that time? No, it's something we've done prior to then. And that's how I see social media. So if you base your judgment, your lifestyle on what social media promotes, then I'll see it as something that is very shallow and not ideal or real. So why would you compare your own your life, to someone else's highlight reel? Because promoting, oh, this man bought this for me, or the man saying I bought this for this man, or I married this lady because she's this. It's someone else's highlight reel. It's not the reality of what is happening. I'm not saying you shouldn't have standards as a man or as a woman on who you want to marry or who you want to be, you spend the rest of your life with. But like I always say, you don't use social media as a basis for it's something you need, and that's why, going back to my first statement, it's a part of us right now because we are in a digital world, we are in a digital age basically, so, and it has come to stay. But you don't use that as a basis to making your decisions or choosing who you want to spend the rest of your life with. There are certain values, there are certain things you should focus on. That doesn't mean that, okay, you should now marry someone that doesn't bring anything to the table, or marry a lazy man, or as a man, you're marrying a lady that doesn't have any skill or anything to bring to the table. But like I always say, you don't use social media as a basis on who you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Very important. It's curated, so they show you what
want
you want to see. You don't know that person that is entering business class, maybe they used miles to pay for it, and you are thinking
when people left the plane,
when people left the plane, they curated that. So I want to know, what are ways that families can grow their wealth? Because these days, this same social media you're talking about, people go on social media and see that this Ponzi scheme, they won't call it a Ponzi scheme, put your money here 50%, 40% in 30 days time, and it looks like it's working, and then the thing explodes. There are so many of these schemes, and I think a lot of times it's because those Ponzi schemes have utilized social media, so everything looks real. So what are genuine ways that we can grow our wealth as a family? So the father, the mother, even the children.
Okay, so there's genuine ways you can grow your wealth as a family. First of all, budgeting is key. That's the first step as a family. As a family, you both of you need to come together to say, okay, let's budget. How do we what are expenses? What amount are we going to set aside to save for the rainy day? Secondly, you spend less. Try as much as possible to spend less than you earn. So don't live above your means. And with budgeting, you'll be able to streamline the things that are important, the things that are urgent, the things that are nice to have, your needs versus your wants. You'll be able to identify that and focus on, okay, this is it. So with budgeting, you'll be able to plan better. With budgeting, so you can decide to say, okay, we're going to set aside this amount. We need to maybe save for a vacation, plan and save for the kids' school fees, plan and save, so, okay, maybe this year our target is we want to buy a property, or we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to start a business together. So that's why I said that budgeting is very important. Budgeting, planning, spending less than, don't live above your means. Thirdly, as a family, you need an emergency fund because life is a risk. Do you understand? So you need to plan for emergency. As much as possible, have a minimum of 6 months of your expenses set aside as an emergency fund. That's all part of it. And your last question, where you said a lot of Ponzi schemes grow up, so that ways they can actually grow your wealth. Like I said, prior to the first question, I said social media is important. We live in a digital world. You can get the positive from it, you can get the negative from it. There are trusted and verified investment firms where you can actually save your money. If you don't want to use an investment firm, your normal bank, the bank you use, the bank you bank with, where you transfer money, you make payments, you can save. You can leave it in your savings account. Even though it won't grow your wealth the way you would want to, but banks have even simple investment options like a regular fixed deposit where you can actually leave your funds. If you are really scared of any investment firm, you're like, no, I don't want to go near it at all. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can just start with your regular bank that is, at least every bank we use currently right now is licensed by CBN. So it's not a bank that is floating without a CBN license. Secondly, do your findings. Like I said, social media is there. So you want to partner with an investment firm, go online, check them out. Are they licensed? Are they regulated? How long have they been? What are the reviews? What are the people saying about them? Not just one posing scheme that, oh, because everybody says you're going to get, you double your money. Go on CBN website, read up things, find out, okay, if this investment firm is giving me a rate of 40-50%, what's happening in the economy? Can the Nigerian can with what is happening in the economy, does it commensurate with what this investment firm is saying? That's why I said the social media too has its positives, its negatives. So when you go online and really read and verify, trusted, you would be able to get your information and say, okay, as a family, we've budgeted, we've saved. We want to now grow. What kind of investment opportunities can we go for? There are several ones that are regulated, that are licensed, that are trustworthy. They've been tested and trusted. They've been around for decades. That you can actually invest where you know that your funds are safe, and at the end of the day, they would actually have capital appreciation.
So much to unpack, but I love the point about budgeting as a family. I want us to go back to that point, and also living within your means. The children of nowadays, unfortunately, are under so much pressure because of the lifestyle, the curated lifestyle, the highlight reel of people on social media. So how do you teach your children about delayed gratification? How do you tell your children that, look, mommy and daddy can't afford to buy you maybe new clothes now, it's thrift we're going to buy, or there's no big car, you're going to use keke to come back home, or no new school bag, or they have to even remove you from a private school to a public school? Because there's something you said, like, life can happen, the loss of a parent, or someone loses their job and lifestyles change. So how do you guide children where they're under the pressure of social media, wanting to belong?
Okay, that's a very good question. First of all, for children, I always say start at an early age for a child. Even as low as the age of 5, start teaching the child about delayed gratification. You can even start as little as, okay, the child wants something now. The child has eaten, and all of a sudden the child says, "Mommy, I want biscuits." I'm bringing it down to maybe a 5-4 year old. I want biscuits. I want chocolate. And I tell the child, "No, you can't have it unless you do this. Maybe you have to finish your homework. When you're done with your homework, you would have the biscuits or the chocolates." That's you teaching the child delayed gratification. That's you teaching the child to be disciplined, that you can't just have everything you want. You have to do something before you can get this. Another thing is, you can start with simple house chores. Tell the kids that, okay, if you can do this for me, I'm tired today. I need someone to help me maybe arrange my wardrobe. I need someone to just help me fold my clothes. Of course, a 5 or 8, 9 year old might not be able to fold so well, but you just help me sort this out. When you're done with it, I'll pay you an amount. Or the child comes to me and says, "Mommy, I need a new PS5, or I need a new bicycle or something." You say, "Okay, how much is it? It's going to cost this. I can't afford it now. But do you know what? If you do this task and you save up a particular amount, I would, maybe half of it, I would actually give half of it." There's ways you're actually teaching the child. And the child says, "Okay, mommy, how am I going to earn that money?" Or, "Daddy, how am I going to earn that kind of money?" There are different tasks you can do for me in the house. Maybe you help me wash my car, or you help me sort my clothes. You help me do something that is not the normal chore or tasks that the child would do. Or it might be the child said, "Okay, child knows how to use the laptop. Help me type this. I need to type some emails. I need to send out. So I need to type some things. Can you help me type it? Do you understand? Or can you help me do a work on something, maybe a little bit of graphic?" Because these kids of this stage, they are digitally inclined. As little as 8, 9 years old, they know how to use the PowerPoint. They know how to use the Microsoft tools. Can you help me do this? And I'll pay you a particular amount. And you keep saving it up to that. Another way you can teach child to about the gratification is, the child is coming, "I need this." Okay, you take, maybe I give you something, money to take to school on a daily basis. If you can be saving 10% of it on a daily basis, maybe I give child 1,000 naira on a daily basis. I'm using that as an example. If I'm 10% of that, that's just 100 naira. If you can be saving 100 naira for 5 days, that's 500. In a month, that's 2,000. I'll add this amount to it. That way you can have that. So those are ways you're already teaching that. So in case life happens, or even if life doesn't happen, you are teaching the child that there's delayed gratification. You're also teaching the child that you have to work to be able to get money. You can't just wake up and just spend lavishly. You have to, it's a sacrifice. So indirectly you're teaching. Then Like when your child have long summer holidays, let them do internships, let them work. You can ask a friend, even if they are not really paid for it. You might be like, okay, go and work, go and. So the child understands that, oh, this is what happens to mommy. And they wake up in the morning, they get ready. It's not just school I'm waking up in the morning for. I'm going somewhere to do something. I'll come back home and all of that. So those are ways you can actually help to build your child to be able to understand what is delayed gratification, learn to plan and save for the future, and also understand the fact that life happens. It's not everything that I see at my beck and call I must have. There's the nice to have and the things I actually really, really need.
I mean, the value of hard work, I believe, should never go
Go
out
out
of
of
fashion.
fashion,
Even
yes.
if you have means, you might not always be there for your children, and you want to raise independent children that are financially savvy. So I think those are amazing points. And you even have children today that have business ideas, and sometimes I find that parents will say, wait till you've grown up. But there are some children, I think, in other climes, they are making money as YouTubers, or they are acting, they are producing, they are developing applications. What advice do you have for parents that are like, don't do that one yet. It's going to stop you from doing your academics. And this child has the ability to nurture a talent which could become, which could turn into money, basically.
Okay, for parents like that, I would say the life has changed. In our own generation, when we we're growing up, the typical career path was go to school, finish secondary, go to university, after that, get a job. And then there were just some set career paths that were already stipulated, which was the normal professional courses. Yeah, I know a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. But in this day and age, we see people that they have a career as a content creator and they are making money. They are making money. You have people that skits, just skits. They are doing skit makers and they are making a lot of money. We've seen jobs evolve like makeup artists. We've seen jobs evolve like a chef, a real chef. Before then, you could count the number of chefs you had. Maybe it's structured just some restaurants. You've seen people that they've used the chef business and the YouTube digital to make money for them. To create just educating people. That's all. You've seen online education evolve where people all they do is they teach online or they teach a skill or something online. Some is just the fact that they love cooking, it's a passion, and they do a lot of they just show how what they cook online, and they are making money from it. Do you understand? So it's no more the world has evolved. So the typical career path that we've set aside for our kids is not the norm anymore. For instance, you can be a medical doctor and own a restaurant, or decide to say that okay, I'm not going to practice medicine. I'm going to be an accountant at something else, or even use your talent, be a musician. So the world has evolved. Career paths have shifted. It's not the conventional career paths that the world is following now. So as a parent, if you have a child that has a skill or a talent or a passion that the child wants to develop, what I'll say is I'll encourage you to allow that child to develop that skill or that talent right now. Don't wait until, I'm not saying there should be a balance, of course. You tell the child, okay, there's time for school, but there's also time for you to develop your skill or talent. You can try to say, okay, Monday to Friday for school, maybe on a Saturday. If it's football, soccer, the child loves to play. Let the child enroll the child in a football academy. Saturday mornings he can play football, or maybe during the week one day for that. If the child wants to be a YouTuber, a content, just sharing her lifestyle, you can have a set time, a day, as if I have to do those recordings. It might be a Sunday or a Saturday, and she still has time for his or her schoolwork to focus on that. So gone are the days to say, okay, unless you're done with university. And like I said, the world, time doesn't wait for anybody. The world passes us by. So why don't you use this time that you have to help that child nurture those skills and those talents? And at the end of the day, you'll be amazed at the fruits, the rewards you would get from that. Who knows? Your child might be the next problem solver, solve a problem or a national problem for us in this country or in the world with that skill or talent.
Yeah, I totally agree in just really honing or zooming into our responsibility as parents, which is to provide a safe space for our children to thrive and in the different aspects, and not say, oh, because I wasn't a doctor, you must now become a doctor, not to project. So, very important points that you raised. I want to go back to an earlier point you made about an emergency fund. And I mean, 6 months is a lot. I'm listening to you, I'm like, 6 months, hey, even to stay afloat, a lot of families are are finding it hard because the rate of inflation and some of these things came in quick succession. So, how do you plan for a time when maybe someone is no longer there? There are families that are broken up, there's jackpot happening, people going their separate ways, people die, and you know the family is now you don't want to know, because when you're not there, that brother or sister you thought loved you so much is now there to go and take your property, and your children are left with almost nothing. So what are ways and measures that families can protect their investments and prepare for the unexpected beyond just, okay, maybe saving 6 months for the rainy day?
Okay, for a family, in case for you're trying to protect your assets, and most families, you're working so hard, you're building this world for the children, and God forbid, what if both parents pass on the same day, and someone else comes to reap your fruits and labor, and it's not your kids that are reaping the fruit and but so the advice I'll give is, as a family, as long as you have any assets or anything that you have, generally, basically, you're raising a family, you can have a trust, not a will. The reason why I said a trust is that the advantage of this trust is that the trust can take effect while you're alive. Do you understand? A will has some intricacies until you're dead. And of course, we will still have to go through the whole probate and the likes. Do you understand? Before the kids can have access to whatever you have in your estate. Do you understand? Whatever you stipulated in the will. But for the trust, when you have a trust arrangement for your kids, you can decide to do. There are several types of trust. So you could just look for a licensed firm, like a trust company, and meet with them, and you set up you have a trust deed where you already say, these are my beneficiaries of this trust, maybe your children and everything. And if damage or something happens, maybe you pass away or both of you pass away, at least your loved ones can have access to whatever you set aside for them. The advantage of trust is that it can even take effect while you're still alive, not until when you're gone. So those are ways where you can actually protect your assets. The emergency fund is just maybe for, like immediate right now. Do you understand what's happening? Maybe something happens and you need funds urgently. You don't have to start looking around or calling people, please come and help me, please come and save. And you mentioned something that because inflation is high, we're trying to, people not having enough funds to set aside. I'll say, regardless of whatever the inflation is, set something aside and you can start now. You might say, oh, I've not even had an emergency fund. I've not even heard of it. I don't even have anything to start. Even if it's as little as 5,000 naira, set something aside on a monthly basis. Do you understand? You don't know. It could definitely come in handy when you need it. So those are ways you can actually.
Thank you. I think a lot of people just think it's about a will, and they don't realize that a trust can have effect even when you're alive. And you can go to bed with peace of mind that your loved ones will be taken care of. Now, I want to bring up something that has been controversial. Sometimes you hear the phrase, my money is my money. It's always attributed, most times attributed to the woman, that the woman says, my money is my money, but your money is our money. Almost like, let the woman spend her own money on herself, but when it's the husband, they should spend it. And why am I bringing it up? Because we see instances where, and this is both women and men, people buy property and they buy it in their names, or people will say Mr. and Mrs., or someone will say, I'm not buying it in my name, I'm buying it in my children's name. In those situations, what is advisable? Like owning assets, if you're in a committed relationship, in a marriage, should you be owning it with your spouse, or should you take, some will say precaution, let me just put it in my child's name in case anything happens? And then I also want you to speak to the issues that arise with my money, your money, our money.
Okay, let me go to the first question, which will be the issues, your last phrase, which my money, your money. I think it stems from, from the biblical quote where it says the man should provide for his home. So the man is the head of the home, the woman is the neck. So by default, the man is the provider, right? The man should provide. So that phrase of his money is for everybody because he's the one providing. Me as a woman, I'm just a support system. And so my money is my money. But when we look at it in real terms, the man is the head, the woman is the neck. The head can't function without the neck. Like now, I can't move my head. I need the neck to move. So your money too as a woman, indirectly, should be embedded with the man's own. That's it. But like I always say, every family, every home has its unique characteristics, has its own peculiarities. What works for me in my home will not work for you in your home. So I feel for a family, for a couple, you need to really sit down, be transparent with each other, be objective with each other, and decide on what works best for you. So if buying, because it's a very controversial topic, so I might say, oh, buy it in both of your names. Of course, don't do Mr. and Mrs. because Mr. and Mrs. is general. Anybody can come to me and say, Mrs. this. And a person can come to me and say, Mr. People bear the same names with you. So
Say
might
you're
not fit.
hearing. You don't gotta do Mr. and
Mrs.
Mrs.
So
Oh.
do your names. For instance, I am Tolulope Babatunde. Maybe it will be Tolulope Babatunde and Isabella Adedeji. We are unique individuals and we are coming together to buy something as a spouse. I'm just using us as an example, please. So buy it in your names. If you want to buy it in your children's names, it has its positives. But what if your children are still minors and something happens? How are they going to have access to those properties? So, like I said earlier, it's a discussion that for a family as a couple, you need to really sit down. Both of you need to be transparent about it. You know the peculiarities of your spouse. Each person knows. You know whether your spouse is selfish. You know whether your spouse is nonchalant, or maybe your spouse is very disciplined. You know what works best. So, but it's a discussion you need to sit down and have. As long as you know you want to build a home and you want to raise a family. If you're not ready to raise a family, maybe you want to go separate ways, I might say, okay, you might not have that discussion. But as a family, you need to sit down and have that discussion, be transparent about it, and decide on what works best for you. But where I'll speak to is buying it as Mr. and Mrs. It's not, because anybody can come to me and say, I'm Mrs. This or I'm Mr. This. You buy it in your names. That's what I would advise.
Very important because people just assume, and like you said, there are some names that are so popular. I mean, there's Adedeji, there's Adediji, there's
Yes,
Adeniji, and there are
yes.
so many of
Those
of
names,
them.
yeah.
Uh, when we go to family finance, what do you think is that one thing that has brought a lot of division amongst family? Because the same way that money answers all things, I feel like money is also, the love of money is also the root of all evil. So what are some practices that have resulted in the breakdown of the family?
Okay. One of the practices that resulted in the breakdown of family is when one person, ego, I'll say ego, sometimes mostly to the male gender, some men are not open to their spouse. That ego thing of, I need to do everything, I'm the head, I'm the overall, do you understand? I can't succumb and tell my wife that I can't afford this, I don't have this. Do you understand? I'm going through a very hard time financially. So being open communication with your spouse or with your children, sitting down, especially if your kids are quite, they've grown up, sitting down and say, please, things are going to change in the family. I can't afford to do this, or maybe at my job. It might not even be a job. Let's face reality. The Nigerian economy, we've seen how the inflation has risen month on month in the last 2 years. The price of what you bought in January and what you are paying for now, there's a shift. You know how much you pay for light, you know how much you pay for fuel, you know how much you spend on feeding on a daily basis. So as a man, if you're the one like the sole provider of the family all this while, and your income is not increasing, but the expenses are so astronomical, there's nothing wrong with you sitting your spouse down and saying, let's sit down, let's have a discussion. I cannot afford to do this again. Do you understand? Sit your kids down, see if they're quite. Maybe prior to this, we used to go on vacation on a yearly basis. This time around, will not be, or even if you're going to go on vacation, won't go outside the country, might be visit a resort or stay somewhere, lodge for a few days. So that communication, being transparent as a couple, being each other's accountability partners, is something that has costs with the family, and especially when it comes to finances. So that thing of I'm not trying to be open to. Then secondly, another thing that has caused you in terms of that finances too is the assumption, that thing of where the woman says, I'm not meant to lift a finger. The man is meant to do everything. So some women indirectly are very, very selfish. They know the man is struggling. They know it's very difficult for him to be able to pay for this, pay for that. But they don't care. They are not budging. And they can afford to at least support and help the man. but they're not ready to do it, and they're just set in their ways, stuck in their ways, and saying, no, I'm not. It's the man's duty. Those are things that could also cause division, because the man will definitely have a burnout. He'll get tired, he'll get upset, and those are things that cause rift. Money causes rift in the family. Or, thirdly, again, where it's just one person bringing something to the table, and the other person is not bringing anything to the table. Maybe the woman is not even working or even planning to lift a finger or doing anything. It's not that. There's some women that truly they want to work, but maybe they have challenges, maybe health challenges and the likes. But in this scenario, you don't have any of those. You're not ready to do something, and vice versa. It might be the woman or it might be the man. The man might just be like, stay at home and he's not just doing anything. All he does is play games from morning till night. Those are things that cause rift in the family, in home, that affects the family. So it should be like a load sharing responsibility. One does this, the other person does. And as I said, that the way the man is the head, the woman is the neck. Both of them can't function without each other.
So what happens when the head goes? I've heard this man is the head, woman is the neck, but in a sole parent house where maybe it's a single mother, does the woman now become the head?
Well, that's what happens. We have people that are juggling both roles. It's either the man passes away or a divorce, separation. It's becoming more evident. People don't, or maybe if they're separated, each person goes to separate ways. If in a situation where it's not that the one spouse dies, they go separate ways, you still need to sit down and decide to say, okay, you've left, we're not living together. What responsibilities are you still going to be taking? But in the case where a spouse passes away, there's nothing wrong in you asking for help. No man is an island, whether you're male or female. Try and look for a support system. Maybe friends, family, do you understand? Just to help with the load and take off some responsibility that might not be really financial, maybe some other things, because everything is all about the money in the home. There are other responsibilities that both spouse juggle together, helps to build the home from better. Or in the case of, okay, you need to go and make money, but you need someone to help you stay with the kids or help you pick the kids off at school, and at the same time you're working currently at that point in time. And you know that, okay, if I leave this thing, I'm going to lose some money. There's nothing wrong in you asking for help. Look for a good support system. You need it to be able to help you juggle that.
A very important point. It takes a village to raise a family. I want us to focus on the parents. We have parents today, like you said earlier on, that parents grow, they've lived their lives believing that if I invest in my children, they'll take care of me at old age. Now, because of this pressure, some children get into dubious means. So you see a child coming home with lots of money and you can't really point to the source of their wealth. So whether it's Yahoo scam, runs, rituals, fraud, like the list is endless, and there are questionable means of wealth. But maybe because the parents feel like, I've invested so much in this child, how the child is making the money, what I don't know will not kill me. What advice do you have to those parents? Because when the kasala will burst, or eventually everything scatters, it's like, but you were eating the money. Were you not happy when I was buying you all this thing? I bought you car, I bought you house. Did you ask me then? And you now want to play like holier than thou.
Okay, for such parents, I'll tell you that you have to have a financial plan in place. Okay, it's like you have a tap that something is coming, it's constantly running. Do you understand? And there's something that is making that tap run. Maybe like a pumping machine that is fueling it. What if the pumping machine packs up and the tap is not running the way it is? That's how the money is for such parents. So I would say for such parents, you have to put measures in place and checks in place and have a financial plan in place. Do you understand? Secondly, as well, you need to really sit that child down to really, really ask. I know you're pressured because of me. So if the parent has financial plan in place and is looking for other means to actually, okay, this money that this child, how am I even building it and saving and planning for it so that I can use the proceeds from the funds to be able to take care of myself. So my child is not really as pressured as it is. And when you look at the economy now, it's like everybody's money is not enough. Even the billionaires, the money is not enough. Do you understand?
They are crying.
Everybody's crying. Do you understand? So in reality, let's be realistic, that money too is not even enough. So as a parent, you need to really sit that child. If you're not comfortable and ask, okay, I know you're pressured to take care of me, right? But where are you getting these funds from? What measures are you taking? What do you really do that you're getting this money from? Do you understand? Secondly, the money you've been giving, I've been able to do this, do this, do this, do this. Do you understand? So the parent needs to really have an open discussion with the child. But at the same time, that same parent needs to put financial planning in place. And don't say, I'm already old, I can't plan financially. I'm 60 something, so I've retired. My children are there for me to say, no, financial planning starts with you. Even at 70 or 80, you plan your day, don't you plan your day? So your finances too should be part of the things you plan. It should be a way of life for you. The way at 70 or 80, you wake up in the morning, you shower, you take your medication, you plan your day or you plan your week. Also plan your finances that way. So whatever your kids give you from gifts, from allowances on a monthly basis, plan with those funds also.
Something that has come through in this conversation is the need for open communication and transparency, whether it's between spouses or parents and children or children and parents. And everybody's situation is very different. But you'll agree with me that the needs of man or needs of woman, the needs of people is insatiable. It can never ever be fulfilled. So how do you truly teach contentment that, you know what, you don't have enough today, but tomorrow you might, or you might not. There are some people that are going to do careers and they're not going to become billionaires, but that's what they want to do, or that's their lot in life. So that's contentment, that even as I'm aspiring to be Dangote, who still they find money, what can I do in my present situation?
Okay. First of all, you need to understand your needs and your wants. When you have a understanding of that, contentment, it's very easy for you to attain contentment. Most times, what makes people not content is because of I want. It's all part of it. So you need to identify your needs versus your wants. It might not be material needs. It might even be your maybe career needs, your way of life, the way you see things. So identify the ones that are your needs and the ones that are your wants. Of course, the needs has to take more priority than the wants. Secondly, understand what it means by delayed gratification. And know that life is in seasons and in phases. When you have that kind of understanding, it will help you more with content. So it's like someone that just left school and started something as an entry level. And you're already wanting to be the MD CEO overnight. No, it's a delayed gratification. Steps you will take to get there. It's like if you give birth to a baby, a 3-month-old child and a 9-month-old child, there's a difference, there's a growth stage. Do you understand? So you should actually be able to separate your needs and your wants. So with that, you'll be able to understand what contentment is. Then lastly, I think what has affected people, especially when it comes to contentment, is social media. We live in a digital world now, so everybody displays their achievements and their life compared to, let's say, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, where it's maybe when you see the person, or maybe you stumble on an information in the newspaper, oh, this person is this. But right now, you don't need to stumble on any information in the newspaper. People individually post achievements and everything. And if you base your life on someone else's creation or what they want you to see, it also affects why people are not contented. So it's not like you just want to compete with everybody. So my last advice for that would be to stay in your lane. Life is in seasons and phases. The same way these fingers are not equal.
Yes.
That's how everybody's life is not equal. Some would remain like this. This is your life. As long as, and I'm sure this little left finger is content the way it is because it has a function it's doing on this hand. This finger has a function that it's doing. This one has a function that it's doing. So that's the same way life is basically. The same way fingers are life, it's not. Life dishes out your career path, your personal development, your finances, whatever you want to do is in phases and is different from what I am going to achieve in life is different from what you're going to achieve in life. So stay in your lane, focus on your own path and grow through that on a daily basis.
Well said, really. I think we can all be more content. And also, if you need to stop following that page because it's tensioning you, stop for your own self, your mental health, and you don't gonna put yourself into problem. So my final question would be the greatest lesson that you've taken from your journey in family finance, and hopefully that can be a hack for our viewers.
Okay, my greatest lesson is start now. Don't wait until, maybe when we clock 30 or 50, or when we spend 5 years or 10 years in this, or when the kids are 15 or 20, or we will start, or when they get into university, we'll start planning, we'll start saving. start from today. If you've not budgeted, if you don't plan, you don't save, you can start today after this session. So just start with what you have. Don't wait until you have the whole millions or the billions. Do you understand? Start with as little as the littlest amount you have and start setting something aside. And another thing I'll say again, for another lesson for me, is communication is key. Have that discussion, that communication, that transparency. Sit your spouse down, sit your kids down, sit your family down, and have that discussion, that communication with them, and discuss on it. Let them know, be transparent with them, and let them know, okay, this is where we are, this is where we want to go to. How are we going to get there? What steps are we taking? So
thank you so much. I'm sure you have learned. I know I've learned. I feel like some of those things they sent you to me, because sometimes you hear it and you need to hear it and hear it again, and hopefully we'll all take action. So once again, thank you so much, wealth coach of life.
Thank you for having me.
To look with Baba today, and we wish you all the best with all your endeavors, your fashion, mentorship, women, children, and obviously your 9 to 5 in wealth management and investment. So well done. That's what I can say. And thank you for this masterclass. That's what it is like.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's now time for me to tell you what I'm loving now. Like, trust me to put you on all things families, like what's good for families. Yeah, I've got you sorted. So the economy is economy, at least in Nigeria, in fact, across the world. And sometimes you just want to get away, but when you start thinking about visa stress, money for ticket, accommodation, and all of that, and you want somewhere that you just go and rest and chill and reconnect with nature. So I have something for you. Isimi Lagos. Like, Isimi Lagos is the truth. So guys, women, if you like polo, you like golf, this is definitely the place to be, because the vast expanse of land, there's just something about nature when you go out in the wild and you're reconnecting with the trees, you're enjoying the fresh breeze. And guess what? It's in Lagos also. Don't come and tell me visa issue, or you don't have time to, go on a plane and then you're spending 48 hours, 28 hours because of transit. This is something that you can leave your house in the morning if you're in Lagos. You can even fly into Lagos and make your way to Isimi Lagos. So it's in Lagos, and I'll say it's like getting that I won't call it village, but that laid back lifestyle where you can rest, you can enjoy the grounds, you can obviously have healthy options to eat. And what better place for a family that just wants to recharge, reconnect with nature, just refresh, if you ask me. It's something that you can do also with your girls, you can do with your guys. Just want to go on a road trip and you go somewhere that is tailored for your enjoyment, tailored for rest, recuperation, tailored with you in mind. Because we know, like Lagosians, people who live in Lagos, people who come to Lagos for Dirty December, they're always looking for a place like to chill, to rest, to enjoy. And trust me, let me not even say too much. Go on their Instagram page, go and check them out on social media, go to their website, and you'll find out that these guys, they've been around for a while, and the experience speaks for itself. You're looking to just recuperate, take a break, be in Lagos, but not be in Lagos. I don't know if you understand what I mean. It's really great, and it's a place where is safe, your family is safe, there's something for everyone. So whether you're old, you're young, you're middle age, you have little children, you have babies, and you just want to chillax, that's it. It's in Lagos. Definitely check them out and take part in the lineup of activities. I've just been going on about rest and recuperate, maybe because I'm a parent now, and sometimes the best activity is to sleep. But if you want activities that the whole family can get involved in, you can enjoy yourself, have healthy options, meals, put your hair down, like let your hair locks, your locks in this case, down, or your hair down. I definitely recommend Isimi Lagos. And when you do go there, just mention that For Families Podcast, Isabella sent you, and let us know the experience. I only put you on to good things here on For Families Podcast, because really, if we can get it right at the family level, trust me, we can change the world. The time where your questions are answered on For Families Podcast. So keep the questions coming in. In fact, you cannot ask me too many questions. I love questions because it opens up an avenue for conversation, for different opinions, and it stirs conversations, which is always great. So thank you for all the questions that have been coming in. If you haven't already asked a question, the details are on the screen. Get in touch. We'll be happy to take as many questions as we can. So what are we looking at today? Is the question that comes up for a lot of parents in this day and age. I know our older parents didn't have to deal with it, and it's screen time. These days you have gadgets. A child knows the tablet, they know mobile phone, they know the computers, the laptops, screens are everywhere. It's hard. Let me just say it. It's hard to live a screen-free life. It's not impossible, but it's really hard. And I'll say why it's hard, because even our schools, they use screens. Even when we take them to places of worship, there are screens. They go out to a theme park, a restaurant, a hotel. There are screens. So we can't fully run away from screens. So shout out to the parents who have been able to do screen free. But what I can say is that we can limit screen time. So just because your child demands for the gadget doesn't mean you have to give in. A little bit of crying is not going to change the world. If anything, it will make that child appreciate the opportunity for screen time. I know growing up, in as much as we wanted to be watching TV all the time, we had to wait for TV to start, at least during weekdays. You wait and you hear the national anthem. That's the old national anthem, which seems like the new one, because the old one has now become the new one. Well, arise, O compatriots, you see the rainbow lines, and TV started. And we were okay with that. We also needed to have electricity. When there's no electricity, you can't power the screen. So it's okay if you teach your children that, you're not always going to get this tablet. You're not always going to get access to your devices. And when we do allow screen time, as much as possible, let it be monitored, so that even if you start off by giving the child a game and then the child now navigates somewhere else, you are aware, because pornography is on the rise, and a lot of times it's through these gadgets that they are able to access this site. So it goes without saying that whatever gadget you are giving your child, to ensure that there are necessary restrictions there, so that they have only age appropriate content. But even within that environment, still keep an eye on what they are consuming, the games they are playing, the applications that they are opening, and what they are learning, because these screens can be so addictive. And let them know that there's a time for screen, and there's a time for housework, there's a time for homework, for going to school, for being in nature. Go out and play, go and collect fresh air. Use your imagination. It's not every time that a child even needs to be fully engaged. Sometimes just leave them. Boredom is actually good. Studies actually show the place for boredom. And abroad, some of the schools are now cutting back on screen time to say, what, let our children go back to textbooks, let our children go back to writing, paper and pen. And they have studies to show that these things are good. So if you're a parent or a caregiver or a guardian or maybe an educator out there, and you're thinking, I need to give my child a lot of screen time because that is what they're going to face in adult life or even in school, remember that there's a place for books, there's a place for magazines, there's a place for educational toys. So this is just a charge that we should not always give in for screen time. Diversify the options, and once in a while allow boredom. Your child will thank you, and trust me, you raise a more contented and happier child. So that's the question, and I hope we've been able to do justice with this answer. Keep the questions coming in. Details are on the screen, and can't wait to hear from you. Wow, I loved today's episode. I know I say that and I say what a conversation, because truly I'm learning as much as you are. It's an experience for me. I don't have all the answers as a parent, a family member, a caregiver. I feel like these conversations open our minds up. It makes us ask questions. Family finance is something that affects everybody. Like our guest Tulokwe Babatunde said, it could be a 70-something-year-old person that is planning their day should also plan their finance. So don't think it's just a Gen Z thing, or it's just for people who are working. Family finance, affects us while we're alive and while in our death, because there are responsibilities. We have family members, loved ones. So there's so many nuggets that were dropped about having a trust, not putting property in Mr. and Mrs., because there are many Mr. and Mrs. out there, if that's a word, and just having an open line of communication and being transparent. And every family is not the same. There's a difference between your needs and your wants. So much I enjoyed from that conversation. Of course, I put you on to what I'm loving, which is a place in Lagos, Isimi Lagos. Check them out. You want to recharge your batteries, you want to reconnect with nature, you want a place where there are lots of activities for the family and you can have a great time without breaking the bank or leaving Lagos. Check Isimi Lagos. And the Screentime thing, I know you're watching this, so there's a place for Screentime, but just limit it and ensure that your children continue to consume age appropriate content, and that Screentime is not their right. It's a reward. Because they demand for it doesn't mean they must get it. And we hope that you continue to bring questions our way. Get in touch with us, slide into our DM, send questions. If you have a compliment, you have a suggestion, things that we can bring on the show, we want to hear from you. Of course, I cannot close the show without telling you, hey Joe, Biko, subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell so that you get notifications. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And you can even tell your enemies too. Of course, I remain your host, Isabella Adediji, and I can't wait to catch you on the next episode of ForFamilies Podcast. Bye.